Hello ladies and gentlemen, the long-awaited Empire's update is around the corner, and as such, I decided to celebrate by completing the entire game using only potions. This means only dealing damage with, you guessed it, potions. Which leads us into the rules. Rule 1, I can only deal damage with potions. The only exception is sharks, which I can use weapons to deal with. Rule 2 is that I'm not allowed to trade at all. So Alcazar Walt's potions are all made with organically sourced ingredients, of course. Rule 3 is to have a variety of potions, because obviously this is possible, but we're here to have a bit of fun, yeah? But with that, as I wake up on Dawn Island, sit back and enjoy my fake Sir Alcazar Walt voice. But before the video starts, may I interest you in the Necronomicon? There's a ton of pointless lore to the clan, but the important part is tax evasion! Necronomicon offers a 0% tax rate, a welcoming group of players, and weekly events on Saturday. Hell, this week we're going to raid and claim Shield Guard. There are literally no requirements to join. We welcome anyone and everyone, so if you're up for it, click the link in the description to join the Discord server and join in. Now, back to Sir Alcazar Walt. Greetings and salutations. My name is Sir Alcazar Walt, renowned gentleman, studious scholar, and most importantly, master alchemist. If you're stumbling upon this letter, it seems you may have awoken on the strange island I have. Quite fascinating. I don't remember how I got here or what I was up to before, but I remember my love for potions. Perhaps I can put my rather superior intellect to use and decipher what this world has to offer in terms of reagents and catalysts. I'm sure someone of my stature would have no problem. Not to overinflate my head with all this narcissism. I met a strange young man by the name of Morden. He seemed to be far less interested in what I had to say and more interested in his deceased friend Tucker. I care not for this Tucker, but I'll help the boy Morden to amuse him. Maybe I'll discover some fascinating new potions along the way. Oh, I grin at the mere thought of it. The young man Morden gave me directions to a small town called Redwake. But I have bigger plans. After spotting a small outcrop with some pine trees growing on top, I knew that there would undoubtedly be pine cones there. Of course, being the magnificent scientist I am, I know pine cones create bursting potions. Just a small toss and these little spheres of glass would shatter in an instant. Some mysterious voice told me these pine cones were fruit. What a load of rubbish. See this? This is the start of the whole challenge. You found a fruit? Okay, good. Before setting out to Redwake, I spotted a large iceberg with a town nestled to the side. What a fascinating settlement. After making landfall, I located the alchemist's town. Lo and behold, there it was, a cauldron. Being the master of persuasion I am, the fellow alchemist Enzanor was more than happy to grant me access to his cauldron. Immediately, I brewed these old bones with the pine cones I had collected into a harmful concoction, sealed tightly within the burst potions. These would be perfect if I needed to defend myself. I'm no barbarian like most of the folk around, and I can't seem to use magic like some of the cleverer folk. Blast! How intriguing it would have been to cast magnificent spells like some sort of magician. Oh well, it seems like it's time for me to head over to the town of Redwake. In the unlikely event I meet an untimely end, this is Sir Alcazar Walt, signing off. Why have I been forsaken to help these incompetent people? Redwake was under siege by a band of barbaric pirates, and of course they left me, Sir Alcazar Walt, to defend them. I hadn't brought even close to enough potions for combat, and to top it off, it seemed my concoctions were nowhere near as potent as they could have been. Had my alchemy skills faded when I was placed into this mysterious world? I managed to defeat one of the pirates before being drove off by the rest. No doubt they were eagerly awaiting my return. I had to go and prepare. My first stop was the island I learned to name Dark Pine. To perfect my arts of brewing, I would have to start with quite a few pine cones. It seems my pinecone scavenger hunt had led me to what's known as the Sky Islands. Only a giant mountain stood in my way. Without this agility brew, I doubt my crippled bones would have been able to climb such a landmark. Atop the mountain wasn't anything too interesting, but the sky ships were just fascinating. These ships sailed through the air as if they were floating on clouds. The inhabitants of Cirrus Island shared with me the whereabouts of an island called Skycliff, which is said to have pine trees that bask in the sun's magical energy, dropping magically infused pine cones. Now this I have to see. Gods, what Skycliff Island had for me was enough to shock even the most durable men to their very core. Yes, in fact, there were magical pine cones, but within a chest on the floating island was something unlike anything I've ever seen before. It resembles a four-leaf clover, but it shines with such an intense light that I could hardly glance at it. Yet at the same time, I can hardly keep my eyes off of it. This acromonia radiates such an energy into my skin. I can't tell the people at Skycliff. There's no doubt they'd want to take this plant and squander its power, yes. I've taken it upon myself to find out the true purpose of this magical plant. After all, it's my duty as a scientist to explore the unknown, and this power cannot be squandered by any ordinary fool of a man. It is only fitting for an alchemist such as I, Sir Alcazar Walt. It's only just begun to dawn upon me that with all these pine cones, I need bones for them. And of course, this means I need to suck it up and grab these fish myself. Ugh. I'm not some low-life fisherman. I deserve to be sailing the high seas, getting my hands on the finest potion ingredients known to man, not stuck on an iceberg hauling fish from the frigid water. But of course, I must stay focused. Only by playing along with this modern fellow will I learn anything about this world, and how to utilize this plant to its fullest potential. At last, the pirates were defeated. Their toothpick swords were no match for my masterfully brewed concoctions. After taking a quick nap, the chief asked for a word with me. The inept fool thanked me for saving his people, but I couldn't help but feel he was speaking down to me. Who does he think he is? Too proud to defend your own people, yet you're amused with their savior? Oh, I'll show him. I'll show all of them. Anyone who talks down to me ever again. I could not tell you how I got wrapped up in running errands for these blasted miscreants, but Mr. Alferin sent me off to investigate the source of some water corrosion. I agreed to help, but secretly, I only cared to see if there's some reagent here that's causing the corrosive water. Incorporating an acidic component into my burst potions would be just the thing I need to deal with anyone bold enough to challenge me. Well, so far, no luck. I have come across an eerily lit island which I have yet to explore. Wish me luck. Just when I thought the people of this world might have some sense of rationality left in them, they go and prove me wrong. This crazed lunatic took one look at me and lashed out like some Neanderthal. Although I must admit, it was impressive how he could put acid into his blades. Nonetheless, he was no match for Sir Alcazar Walt and the many potions at his disposal. A few harming burst pots made quick work of the fool. I demanded he leave the island at once, and, much to my surprise, he listened. Serves him right. There's plenty more where that came from. This insufferable Chief Alferin sent me off the frost mill in search of some scout. I couldn't even be bothered to remember the name. No matter, I was in dire need of some good conversation with the alchemist Enzenor. Really just someone who wasn't as barbaric or foolish as everyone seemed to be. Maybe Enzenor would be a valuable asset to understanding what this plant is and what it can do. Of course, I cannot trust him with the full knowledge of what it is, and especially not that it is in my possession. It is no matter. I am a master with my words, and Enzenor will never suspect a thing. Like a breath of fresh air. Speaking to minds as brilliant and scientific as mine is just what I needed to continue. After much plodding, Enzenor spoke of some issues the iceberg was having. Something to do with a young girl melting it. Nothing of my concern. What I was really after was the information regarding the Dark Sea. Supposedly, beyond these relatively calm islands is an infinite wasteland of magical energy, and corrupted monsters beyond my wildest nightmares. Of course, nothing is too grand for my mind to comprehend, but I'll have to ask Enzenor more later. We don't want him suspecting anything now, do we? I am very confident the answer to unlocking the plant's secrets will be found somewhere in the Dark Sea, and mark my words, I will get to the bottom of it. Although Enzenor and much of the iceberg's residents encouraged me to stop the melting, I had more important matters to attend to. How can I conduct my studies and experiments if my boat is to be a measly sailboat? I believe it's about time I spend some time searching for treasures and otherwise enriching myself. There is much to dive and explore underwater, many treasures hidden in the earth, and lots of pirates to liberate of their loot. Looks like I'll have my hands full today. This young lady, Iris, was nothing but a pushover. Although she can cast spells using some lost magic, which is quite impressive, she seemingly isn't fireproof. Although my methods may come off as a bit harsh, here's a friendly reminder that she was shooting flames targeted at my well-being. My acts are completely justified. The young lady stood still as I peppered her with burst potions, filled to the brim with an extremely flammable concoction. After she was thoroughly on fire, I let her struggle and eventually succumb to the flames. Pathetic. I thought these magicians might have put up more of a fight. Returning to the stepstones, I met a hooded man named Warren. Although rough around the edges, he seemed to have an intellectual mind, something I can appreciate. After some meaningless discussion, I conclude that I must, once again, scale this obnoxious mountain. The young woman, Iris, I think it were, was there at Cirrus Island to greet me. Once again, these people want me to head over to Skycliff Island. Perhaps they were aware that the acromonia was once there? Well, they will never find it. Not will I breathe. But I'll be damned if I don't keep getting sent out to run errands. Next thing I know, I'm the captain of another one-man skyship, sailing my way over to some abandoned ruins and fighting some more of these brainless warriors in hoods. Once again, I am triumphant, but I've had it up to here with these errands. There was more than just the hooded persons. A man by the name Lord Elias was in the center of the ruins, and just like his lackeys, attacked me on sight. Mr. Elias was not some brainless parasite, however. It was almost elegant how he danced around the pillars and commanded the lightning, bending it to his will. Once he was thoroughly wounded, he even called upon the rain, further worsening the situation. It's a miracle I made it out as unscathed as I did. As for Lord Elias, I had to teach him a lesson. He should have known of the challenge an alchemist of my stature. Soon, many more will learn this lesson as well. After my brief diving earlier, it's come to my attention the absolute bounties of potion ingredients that can be found below the waters. Plenty of star coral, glowing coral, magical seaweed, or even flowers that project an orb of oxygen. I've taken a fondness for diving, but the damned sharks always try their hardest to drive me away. This great axe provided me with enough protection to make it by and prepare for whatever awaits me at Sailor's Lodge. Seeing Morden was a pleasant surprise at Sailor's Lodge. He was, thankfully, not intoxicated, and spoke of a Ravenna fortress to the east. Supposedly this buffoon wants us to raid it? Well, I suppose there's not much better to do, and I've heard much of this Ravenna kingdom. There's no doubt I can learn something about this plant I have obtained, so let's give it a shot. The fortress was far less fortified than it reasonably should have been. I would put money on the fool in charge being nothing more than a macho man. With little resistance, Morden and I snuck in through the back and incapacitated the guard. We snuck around through the passageways just above the soldiers, then heard some murmuring through this door. It was too unintelligible to hear straight up, so we opted to take the way around to get a better idea of what's being said. My god, I've never seen such raw strength in a man. General Argos, the leader of the fortress, burst open the wall with his own 2 legs, and then challenged me to a direct duel. Took just about every potion I had left to pacify him, but he brought the whole damned fortress down with him. Barely got out of all 4 of my limbs. Morden wants me over at the island of Ravenna itself, but I have bigger plans. Fort Talos taught me jack squat about the acrimony, but where can I learn more? The Dark Sea, that's where. And I've been having a major itching for some stronger potions. It's about time I beef up my arsenal of weapons and venture out into the corrupted waters. An alchemist such as I, Sir Alcazar Walt, deserves only the best, and it will be mine. By the gods, I've never laid my eyes on such a creature so hideous, yet so enticing. These beasts, the Atlanteans, are the pinnacle of evolution. The Dark Sea's harsh conditions have allowed many of the creatures to master magic, or grow to such physical strength that they could wrestle an elephant. Equally as fascinating were the thorn flowers. They have similar harming properties to the bones, but so much more potent. However, neither of these intrigued me nearly as much as the cauldron lined with a magical silver that I stumbled upon. It was smoother, quicker, and so much better than any cauldron I've ever used before, and the potions that came out were some of the most potent concoctions I had ever made, although I was lacking the proper ingredients to utilize it here. No matter. Sir Alcazar Walt, triumphant over the Dark Sea. My boat, my crew, and I all made it back to the Bronze Sea in one piece, and we brought back some ludicrous loot with us. Of course, I inquired Enzenor about the cauldron immediately. He told me that it is a rare sight in the Dark Seas, brimming with magic energy and boosting the properties of any potion brewed within. He also mentioned in the far reaches there was a section of Dark Sea untouched by humans for hundreds of years. There are said to be cauldrons of pure gold. Brilliant! This was it. This is what I needed. I can taste it. The power. The godhood. No. Pace yourself, Walt. The acrimony will serve its purpose in due time. With these much improved potions, it's about time I take down Ravenna, once and for all. Oh, it is such a drag in this raggedy island. The news of General Argos' defeat has it on high alert, and of course they know the mastermind behind it all. Me, Alcazar Walt, viewed as a criminal. Absolutely unacceptable. After learning of my fugitive status, the Bronze Grassland was a good place to clear my head, until some barbaric woman jumped down and attacked me. But, unluckily for her, this was just the opportunity I was waiting for. Damn it all, that pathetic fighter Lady Karina was nothing but a fool in the face of my new Dark Sea-infused potions. Unfortunately for me, the big ruckus she caused drew the attention of the whole island. I've been captured and placed into some cell underground. They even took my potions. Bah! This cannot be how Sir Alcazar Walt goes out. Mark my words, they will all pay dearly for this treachery. Ages. It's been ages! Took Morden and his blasted crew long enough to bust me out. Why, I'd soak them all in liquid starlight if I didn't have bigger problems on my hands. The impudent King Calvis is sitting oh so smugly on his throne, and with these potions back into my masterful hands, he will be no match. You hear me? Just as I said, the incompetent king wielding a magic not unlike the sun, felled by none other than I, Sir Alcazar Walt. Morden and I made a quick escape to the docks where King Calvis's incompetent brother challenged me. Only took one potent Nova potion filled with thorn flowers to send him to his knees, begging for mercy. Just this once, I'll give it to him. The Bronze Fleet tried their hardest to stop me, but just like everyone else before them, they were no match. My brewing skill perfected. Kingdoms lying in ruin. It will all mean nothing if I can't find a golden cauldron. That's why on this day, my crew and I set out on our one-way trip into the Dark Sea. These brews mixed with golden petals will keep me sane while we venture. I only question the integrity of my ship. In the extremely off chance I perish in the far reaches, this is Sir Alcazar Walt, signing off. Already we've gone much further than we made it last time, but this isn't enough. I can feel the cauldron. It has to be out there somewhere. The inflamed waves and tornadoes are starting to wear down on the ship heavily. Luckily for me, I brought supplies to repair the boat, but it'll only last so long. By the gods, the sickness in my stomach and skull is unlike anything I've felt before. The far reaches is nothing short of a living nightmare, but that doesn't excuse the fact that every island is barren. Nothing, spare a few trees and Atlanteans, too stupid even to notice me. Gah, I must keep going. I can't give up now, right? Yes. My mad dash through another dark sea forest was oh so rudely interrupted by the sight of something beautiful. A cauldron made of pure gold. What I had so long awaited, it was finally here. With this cauldron and this acromonia in my hand, I can prove that I alone am the most powerful alchemist. No, the most powerful being in the war seas. With this acrimony, I, Sir Alcazar Walt, can begin my ascension into godhood. Bottoms up.